Ladies and gentlemen, all rise, please. Clerk requests now in session, the Honorable Rose and Brown, now presiding.
Okay, thank you. Please be seated. Hey, counsel, the deputies informed me that your client had access to a computer. You need to understand that that's not allowed, okay? Unless there's a specific reason, and it can be monitored, we don't allow that, all right? He has no access to that at the jail. Just coming here doesn't give him additional access to it, okay?
Yeah, yes, sir. He asked to see one of the psychologist reports, and I just put it up there, but I...
Okay, well, make sure you clear it with the deputy, so, before we go forward. Okay, thank you. We have all viewers present here. It's 8:57.
You know, there's sort of a timing matter you can bring to the court's attention.
Okay,
I have found with Mr. Shea's help, a neurologist that will write the order that we need for the brain scan, and that person needs to interview him at the jail by phone or by Zoom, either this Tuesday, tomorrow at 9 o'clock, or Thursday at 9
okay,
o'clock.
well, how long does the interview take?
I believe it'll take 2 or 3 hours.
Oof.
We've been working on this all weekend long, and I'm having her prepare the documentation right now.
Okay, but it has to be at 9 a.m.?
She said in the morning, I'm assuming 9.
Our plan is to be done on hopefully Wednesday afternoon if everything goes well for our presentation, so maybe Thursday morning at 9, and then if the defense, but on the defenses after that.
Okay, that's fine.
Would that work, Judge?
Yeah, what we'll do is, we'll just start Thursday at noon, or at 1 o'clock, and then give him the opportunity to talk to the neurologist. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So you want to go ahead and schedule it for Thursday morning?
Yes, I'm going to have my legal assistant working on it all day today during this trial.
Okay, very well.
So we need help with these jails.
Yeah, we'll need a court order to get the jail to set it up for her.
Very well. I can arrange for all that.
Judge, our second witness is going to be appearing by Zoom. He's feeling under the weather. Detective Stevie, right, the defense, I don't believe has an
Okay.
objection to that.
They can come in if you want to tell them, Vicky, they'll be just in the waiting room just to wait there. Okay? Okay?
Yes, sir. I think he's already 9. Okay. Which is right about now.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a witness on sound, we'll come in the room, you can't hear what's going on.
Oh, he's already on here. Boom, with the magic of one stroke. Send him to the waiting room. All right, you need to turn that camera on.
Your Honor, only one other minor issue. I was told by someone that's been viewing the trial that the people taking photographs here or pictures are zooming in on our computers when they're open. They're zooming.
All right, Law and Justice Network, did you hear that?
I did, sir.
Do not focus on any of their computers.
I think what might have happened was when I did a pan, the computer was in it, but it was so far back you couldn't see anything. But I understand what you're saying, sir.
Okay, all right, so please, I mean, you have the privilege of being here, or the right, I should say, but have to respect the privacy of counsel and
Absolutely, sir.
their documentation. So whenever possible, if you can, if you're not using your computer, close them or put something on there, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. All right, any other issues? All right. Oh, that's not a witness that I just put in the waiting room. That is this camera right here. That is the witness. I know technology.
Is he not on yet? He might be in the wait. It's not 9. Almost 9. It's not 9 yet. Okay.
Okay, very well. We ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
Ready for the jury? Okay, bring the jury in. Joe, so nice to see you.
You as well.
You say something. I think you called me, sorry.
Stevie, right, the one witness that you want to testify through you?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Jury. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the right page?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Very well. The jury is present and seated.
And the video's on, Your Honor.
I'm sorry?
Video's on, I turned it off the jury.
Okay, you may be seated. State, you may call your next witness, please.
Steve will call Tom Youngman, or we call Tom Youngman.
Okay, have Mr. Youngman come forward, please.
Who's been previously sworn to him?
He was previously sworn, he's still under oath. And ladies and gentlemen, good morning, welcome.
Good morning.
Happy Valentine's Day. I sure hope that your team won yesterday in the Super Bowl. If not, then I'm terribly sorry. Remember what I said, I'm a politician. State, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Mr. Youngman, I know we've already talked to you about your training and experience in crime scene investigation and your employment with the Daytona Beach Police Department. Were you so employed with the police department still on February 24th of 2006?
Yes, I was.
Still doing crime scene investigation?
Yes.
And on February 24th of 2006, did you respond to a third crime scene related to this case?
Yes, I did.
Where was that crime scene, sir?
In the west part of the city, it's out where the police department now stands.
But back then, no police department was at that location.
No.
And did you respond to the crime scene?
Yes, I did.
Could you describe the area where the crime scene was located?
Like I said, it's out west of here. It's the corner of Mason Avenue and Williamson Boulevard. It's right where the police department is, out by the sign out in the front of the building on Williamson, just a little south of that.
And where the victim was located, was that on some type of pathway into the woods?
Yes, Williamson Boulevard is paved, then you have a wooded section, then there's an area that's open, looked like it's been traveled before.
You said it's been traveled before.
Yes.
And were other officers and investigators already on scene when you arrived?
Yes, there was.
And what was your understanding of what you were walking into when you got there?
From what I learned was that there could be a third victim of the three.
Related to the previous two cases?
Previous two. She was found dead on that dirt area of the road.
And when you walked down that pathway, what did you observe?
Victim was laying there, head to the north, feet to the south. She was naked. There was clothes strewn about.
Was there other trash back on that pathway? Other trash? Like beyond the victim's clothing, was there
Yes,
trash?
some of it's under construction in the area, and there's a lot of debris there.
Did you observe any trauma to the victim or any injuries she may have had?
She was bleeding about the head area.
And you said she was nude?
Yes.
Did the victim have any type of identification, credit cards, anything like that to say who she was?
No.
Did you go about processing this crime scene as you previously described to the jury the way you processed the other
Yes,
crime
I did.
scenes?
Yes.
Photographed it?
Yes.
And did you put your markers down and take additional photographs?
Yes, we did.
And did you collect physical evidence from the crime scene?
Yes, I did.
Did you collect that evidence in the manner you described earlier where you package it and place it into evidence?
Yes.
And in this case, did you actually draw a diagram of the crime scene as well?
Yes, I did.
I want to talk to you first about some of the physical evidence from the crime scene. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
So I'm showing it's been marked for identification as states Z. Do you recognize this exhibit in the packaging?
Yes, I do.
What is this item?
Socks.
And were these socks collected at the crime scene?
Yes.
Or were they collected off of the victim's body?
Yes.
Do they appear to be in the same or substantially similar condition as when you collected them,
Yes.
other than the markings from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement?
Correct.
Been altered or tampered in any way you can see?
No.
Your Honor, I'd move states Z into evidence as the next numbered exhibit.
May I ask what it describes?
It's the
No objection.
Without objection, the item will be admitted as evidence.
Case number 21.
Number 21.
No. So you collected the socks from the crime scene. Did you also locate any projectiles or casings or any type of ballistic evidence at this crime scene?
Yes, I did.
What did you locate, sir?
Projectiles. I have correction. The casings.
So a spent shell casing?
Yes.
And did you photograph that shell casing
Yes, I did.
and packaged it and placed it into evidence?
Yes.
Showing you it's been marked for identification as states W. Do you recognize this item?
Yes, I do.
What is this item?
It's the .40 caliber federal casing.
So the casing you collected was a .40 caliber federal casing?
Yes.
And is it in the same or substantially similar condition as when you collected it?
Yes.
Has it been altered or tampered with in any way that you can see?
No.
And again, it has the FDLE tape as well on it?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move this item into evidence as the next numbered state's exhibit.
No objection.
Without objection, the item will be admitted as evidence.
Case number 22.
And Judge, may I have the deputy pass these down and publish them to the jury?
Okay. The items will be handed down to you. You just look at them and then pass them down to the next viewer. Again, is this evidence that you will have with you during jury deliberations?
Thank you, Deputy.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to come back to your crime scene photos in a moment here, Mr. Youngman, but I want to jump ahead to the autopsy of the victim. Did the medical examiner's office respond and transport the victim to the medical examiner's office?
Yes, they did.
And in this case, did you attend the autopsy or did another investigator?
Another investigator.
And was that investigator Eckersen?
Yes, it was.
And did you later respond to the medical examiner's office and collect any evidence from the medical examiner?
That evening I did, yes.
And did that include a sexual assault kit from the victim?
Yes, I did.
I'll show you what the mark for identification is states X. You just take a look at that and the accompanying property reports. Do you recognize that item?
Yes, I do.
What is that item, sir?
It's 3 sets of swabs, oral, vaginal, and anal swabs.
And is that part of the sexual assault kit that you collected from this victim?
Yes, it is.
Same or substantially similar condition based upon the exterior of the packaging as when you collected it,
Yes,
other than the FDLE tape, of course?
correct.
Your Honor, I move this item into evidence as the next numbered exhibit.
No objection.
Without objection, the item will be admitted as evidence.
Case number 23,
Now, Mr. Youngman, you said that the victim had no type of identification or anything like that.
No,
Did you actually roll the fingerprints of the victim at the medical examiner's office?
yes, I did.
And through those fingerprints, were you able to identify the victim?
Yes, we did.
And who was she?
Iwana Patton.
And did you return actually to the crime scene the next day to continue to look for additional ballistic evidence for a projectile?
Yes, we did.
And what kind of efforts did you make to locate that projectile the next day?
We spent the entire day, we gridded off the area, different sections, and checked everywhere with metal detectors and everything we could find, and we never found a projectile.
And again, when I'm using the word projectile, is that, you mean the actual bullet?
The bullet that's ejected from the casing, yes.
Okay. But the casing is what we'd already talked about that you had located?
Yes.
Now, we talked about the .40 caliber shell casing. Was there actually another casing located some distance from Miss Patton in that area?
Yes.
And what type of casing was that?
A 22.
Which of those two casings was the closest to the decedent, to Miss Patton?
The .40 caliber.
And we'll come to your diagram in a second, so I will come back to talking about that casing. And I'm going to show you what's marked for identification as states, looks like a U, composite exhibit. Do you recognize those photographs, sir?
Yes.
What do they depict?
The scene as I found it.
Are they in the same or appear to depict the scene accurately as it appeared to you back in February 24th of '06?
Yes.
Have those photographs been altered or tampered with in any way you can observe?
No.
Your Honor, I move this composite exhibit into evidence as the next number state exhibit.
Any objection?
No objection.
And next, Mr. Youngman, I will show you is marked for ID as states V. Do you recognize that item?
Yes.
What is it?
It's my diagram I drew.
Is that the diagram you drew of this crime scene?
Yes.
Does it fairly and accurately represent the crime scene as it appeared to you as best you could draw it back in February of 2006?
Yes.
Been altered or tampered with in any way you can see?
No.
Your Honor, I move this item into evidence as the next numbered states exhibit.
No objection.
Without objection, it will be admitted as evidence.
I just want.
case 25, firearm, case 25.
This time, Judge, I seek permission to publish both of these exhibits, and I'll do it on the...
Camera, on the screen?
Yes.
All right, thank you. You may proceed.
Anyone see the camera?
Just in case you need this, Mr. Youngman, I'll give it to you. This is what's marked as A in this exhibit. Mr. Youngman, what are we looking at in this photograph?
I'm standing very close to Williamson Boulevard. There's a cement little path there on the right-hand side. the sale sign, and that dirt path where the body was found.
Can you point out the dirt path with the, pointer just so the jury can see where it is in relation to this picture?
Right down here.
Back behind that crime scene tape there.
Yes.
And what are we looking at in this photograph, sir?
I moved a little bit further east and down the path.
And can you actually see Miss Patton in the distance in this photograph?
Yes, right, yeah.
And which direction are you looking at in this photograph?
Back west, this is Williamson Boulevard where the police car is, and that's that cement slab here, and it ends. The dirt path is to the left.
And what are we looking at here, sir?
That's down the path a little bit further, and the victim is laying in the middle of it.
I know you said here, for the record, we really should be using numbers,
I've got to mark it there, Judge. This is D.
okay? D stamped on the picture, but not D for identification purposes.
No, it's D of the composite.
Okay, thank you.
And here on E of the composite, what are we looking at, Mr. Youngman?
Closer down that path, and the victim.
And can you see some of the victim's clothing in this photograph?
Over here to the left.
And some of this other debris, is that what you were talking about with there being a lot of trash back in this area? I think more back here as well in the
Yes, it's
distance.
just strewn up and down that road.
Okay. F of the composite, which direction are we facing or looking at in this picture?
I walked past her and looking back.
That's F.
Yes. Moving to G of the composite. What about here, sir?
A little bit closer, clothing, victim, and down here's Williamson Boulevard.
Moving to H of the composite.
Victim,
And so the victim, you said she was naked, but she did have these white socks on.
yes,
And this was how you found her lying face down?
yes.
Moving past H of the composite to I of the composite. What are we looking at here?
Clothing,
And is this the clothing of the victim, what appeared to be some of the clothing of the victim?
yes,
And again, you collected this evidence?
yes, it did.
Moving to composite photograph J. What are we looking at here?
Same picture again, but this time I put my markers down there. They're all numbered markers for different pieces of the evidence.
And is the marker in this photograph for the .40 caliber shell casing to be located?
It's number 5,
Marker 5.
yes.
Moving to K of the composite, what are we looking at here?
That's the casing right here.
And did you actually measure the distance from the casing to the body?
Yes,
And what was the distance from the decedent to the casing?
about 10 feet to the south of her feet.
Moving to L of the composite. Is this another photograph of the casing?
Casing without the numbers.
And let's move to your diagram. You can stay standing. Can you point out, and you can step down if you have to, Mr. Youngman, but can you point out the decedent in the diagram?
Right in the middle,
And where was the casing located in the diagram?
number 5 down here.
And now what about the other casing, the .22 caliber casing? How far was that from the decedent approximately?
About 20 feet.
20 feet?
Yeah, 19 feet and I think
And-
9 inches.
In which direction from the decedent?
To the north,
So 20 feet, 19, 20 feet to the north
yes,
was the .22 caliber casing.
right here.
And the casings that you collected, the .40 caliber, and you can have a seat, Mr. Youngman, both the .40 caliber casing and the .22 caliber casing, those were sent to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement?
Yes,
And the sexual assault kit, that was sent to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement?
yes it was.
And that was, of course, after you had packaged it and placed it into evidence, it then went to FDLE.
Yes.
I have one moment, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Did you also collect any tire impressions from this crime scene like you did from the Julie Green crime scene?
Yes, I did.
And was that tire impression placed into evidence and sent to FDLE as well?
Yes.
I have no further questions, Your Honor. I will tender the witness.
All right, any cross-examination, Mr. Shea?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Good morning, Detective Youngman. How are you today?
Good morning, good. Yourself?
Besides the items that you just described as being collected, did you collect other items out there? Other items of evidence?
Yes.
I'm going to show you Defendant's Exhibit B3 and inquire of you if you took a photograph of item number 3.
Yes, I did.
And can you determine what you were taking a picture of? Why did you take that picture?
I'll take a picture or collect anything in the area. I have no idea what is evidence in that case and what's going to pertain to. I pick everything up I can find.
What did that appear to be?
That is a lotto ticket that's rolled up.
A ticket that's rolled up?
Yes.
Of your experience, is that something that would be used to snort cocaine?
I have no idea.
Mr. Shea, can I get you to move the microphone towards your face? No, so, yeah, so you speak into it, please.
Yes, sir. I'm going to show you two other defense exhibits, B5 and B6. Did you also take these photographs?
Yes, I did.
And what are they photographs of?
6 is a piece of wrapper, a piece of corner of it that looks like it's been torn off something. And number 7 is a condom wrapper.
Did you submit those for fingerprinting or for any analysis to your knowledge?
I submitted them into evidence. I don't know where they go from there if they did.
Do you know whether you ever got a report back on those?
I don't.
You did not?
I don't normally get the reports back. The investigator does.
Okay, thank you. I'm showing you two additional photographs that you had taken, B7, Defense B7, and Defense B8. Can you identify those?
Yes, I took them.
And what do they appear to be?
Some kind of rub mark on the victim.
What kind of marks?
A rub, something that passed, maybe a tire of a car going past her.
Or could they be drag marks?
It could be.
I show you Exhibit B9. Is this a photograph you took?
Yes, it did.
And what does the photograph show?
That was a tire impression.
Now, I recollect that you gave testimony the other day that you also took a tire impression out at the Julie Green homicide site. Was that impression in the dirt, that tire impression, a better impression than what you have here?
Judge, I'm going to object to lack of foundation.
Overrule. Answer the question if you can.
The areas are a little bit different. This was more grassy, and then there's a spot of dirt that when the vehicle went past, it left a small impression in the dirt, as opposed to the other one was a more dirty area for leaving a better track.
And so you would consider it a very good or excellent track that you took the mold of, added to Julie Green compared to this one.
I'm not an expert in tire impression, so I'm not sure if he said it was excellent or not, but it was an impression that I was able to lift it with the
Okay, thank you.
substance that I make them with.
Your Honor, I'm going to submit these as evidence.
May I just see them first, Mr. Shea? No objection.
Without objection, it will be admitted as a defense exhibit.
Number 2.
Your Honor, since I don't have a screen, I will show this at this point.
You hand them to the bailiff, he will pass them down for them.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Detective Youngman, when you collected the 22 shell casing, did you put a placard down on that one?
Yes, I did.
And could you tell whether it was a 22 rifle casing?
I can't tell that.
However, that was collected and submitted to whom for examination?
Florida Department of Law Enforcement.
You did that yourself?
I don't recall if I did it. Like I said, there's some items I automatically send off, and there's some requested by the investigator.
What procedure did you use to determine what would be submitted directly to the FTLE by the detective and which ones would be submitted by you? Did you sit down and have a discussion with them prior to your submissions?
No, we did eventually, but no, I picked some items. They take only so many at a time.
Okay. Do you have any recollection of when the 22 casing was submitted to the FTLE?
I don't have the exact date, no.
And to your knowledge, you don't know whether you did it or another detective
I
submitted
don't
it?
remember on the 22.
So we have no knowledge whether it was submitted or not.
I'd have to go back and look at the submission forms.
Now, the state gave you an exhibit back, and that was the sexual abuse kit. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. You weren't present when that was taken. You just received it in evidence from the court, from the medical examiner's office?
yes,
And that's only, what, for chain of custody?
yes.
And what did you do with it when you were done with it?
I bring it back to the police department. I have a crime scene lab, and I lock it up in the lab until I can tag it.
I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Just one moment, Your Honor. want to go back to your diagram, Mr. Youngman, to talk about some of the things the defense talked to you about. Could you, with the pointer, point out where the tire impression was? What number it was?
Is it? My impression is right here, and it's number 19.
And for the jury, what's written here? I see you got something written there and there. What does that say?
Tree line.
So is that,
That's right in here.
Tree line.
is this the tree line marking the edges of the pathway there?
Yes.
And at this crime scene, you actually found, didn't you find more than one condom wrapper?
Yes.
Let's talk about the first one. Was that item 7?
Yes.
And how far, or where in the picture was item 7? Here, do you want?
Yeah, I got one here.
Is it down towards the bottom there, number 7?
Yeah, it's way to the bottom.
So way down here was one condom wrapper you found.
Yes.
So you said that this was about 20 feet from the victim's body. Similar distance for item number 7?
Yes, that's about 34 feet.
34 feet to number 7. And what about, was the other condom wrapper item number 11?
I have sunglasses for item 11.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
May,
I want to make sure we're looking at showing you your property report. We're looking at item number 11.
Oh, that's not, that's just the number of the item.
Okay, that's not the,
No, these are the marker
Okay.
numbers.
which number did you say, marker number it was?
11 is the sunglasses.
Okay, and what was the other condom wrapper?
We talked about number 7. Number 6 is the corner of it. Number 7 is the wrapper.
Okay, so it was a corner and the actual wrapper.
Yes.
Okay, so 7 was the wrapper you found, and that was 34 feet, you said?
Yes.
Okay, and this was an empty wrapper, right?
Yes.
So there wasn't you didn't locate a used condom in this area or anywhere around here, did you?
No.
And based upon your diagram, you were collecting a lot of items that were actually quite off of the pathway, right?
Yes.
And you don't know if any of these items were associated with the crime or not?
No.
May I have one moment, Joe?
yes, sir.
I have no further questions.
All right, thank you. Recross.
As far as the condition of the wrapper, did it appear to be fresh and new, and that's why you took the photograph?
Objection, speculation, and lack of foundation.
I'll reword it, Your Honor. What was the condition of the wrapper? How did it appear and look to you as if it was there a while or newly deposited?
I can't tell that.
The photograph would speak for itself.
Yeah, you can make your own opinion of it.
What number did you put on the 22 casing that's shown on the diagram?
Number 20?
Number 20?
Yes.
Did you take a photograph also facing in a northerly direction that would have shown that yellow indicator where you found evidence?
Yes, I did take one from the north, up towards the north.
You took one to the north, and it shows the number 20 you're indicating?
It
Number
should,
20 being the 22 shell casing.
it should, yes, if I seen a picture, I could tell you.
Your Honor, since we're talking about photographs of where the placards are located, I'd like to see if we can talk about my number one exhibit where you have located the different bits of evidence that you collected.
Do you want me to put that one up? We've got that one evidence, Mr. Shea. Want me to put it up on the TV?
I'll submit a new evidence as well.
Okay, but for your questions, do you want me to put it up on the TV?
Okay, thank you. I show you Defendant's Exhibit D1. And what does that photograph indicate?
That's a picture taking towards the
Right, Mr. Shea?
south, and it shows the markers in the picture.
Okay. And what is the one that's farthest away down there?
I think that's number 7,
And what was that?
the condom wrapper.
Did it appear that the two pieces of the condom matched one another, the top that was torn and the full condom package?
I really didn't match them up. I didn't.
The photographs would, if you looked at the photographs, and we can make our own determination.
Maybe.
Do you have a photo going in the other direction? In that placard up there that we're looking at,
Hold on, it's G, it's the state's composite, picture G.
we're looking at State's Exhibit G. I do see a placard that's up there, and what distance are you indicating that placard is from where the body's located?
Talking about a blanket?
No, I'm talking about apparently the number 20, did you indicate? Oh, there's no placard there.
I don't have any placards in that picture.
Okay. Did you take a photograph showing the placard number 20?
I believe so.
No other questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
Judge, we are going to keep Mr. Youngman subject to recall.
All right, so he's still under subpoena, okay? Is your next witness, witness Wright?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge.
If you want to pin witness Wright to the screen, so the viewers can see him. Actually, I might be able to.
Here's Ben.
Officer Wright, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, Officer Wright, if you will raise your right hand and be sworn, please.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
sorry, I think it's lieutenant.
Good morning, Lieutenant.
Good morning.
How you doing today?
Doing well, doing well.
Could you please tell us your name and spell your last name, sir?
Stevie Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T.
Where do you work, Lieutenant, and what do you do there, sir?
I work with the City of Daytona Police Department, and I presently work as a lieutenant in support services.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background, how long you've been there, sir?
Yes, this April will be 35 years with the Daytona Police Department. I was hired back in April of 87, and from April 87 through the current present time, I've moved myself up in rank as a sergeant and as a lieutenant.
Not bring that very bad, I'm sorry. I couldn't understand that.
Sir, can you please repeat that a little slower?
From April 87 to the current present time, I've been employed with,
The City of Daytona Police Department
thank you.
since April of 1987.
Make sure you speak slower, a little bit clearer, okay, so you
Okay.
can take down your answers.
Your Honor, was this witness sworn? I'm sorry, we didn't.
Yes, the witness was sworn. And for the record, the witness is appearing through Zoom, I think by agreement of both counsel, given the circumstances.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Lieutenant, if you could, can I bring your attention back to February of 2006? What was your assignment back then, sir?
I was a sergeant in the criminal investigation unit.
Did there come a time where you were involved in a homicide investigation or investigations?
Yes,
Let me ask you a question specifically on February 24th of 2006. Miss Patton was found in a wooded area behind where the Daytona Beach Police Department is. You recall that one, sir?
yes,
Okay, so were you called out to the scene and were you, out there supervising at that time?
yes.
Let's fast forward to February 25th, 2006. Did you have a staffing or meeting that morning with any folks? And just answer yes if you can, sir, or no.
Yes, yes.
During this meeting, Lieutenant, was there a task that you either took on or that was assigned to you?
It was not assigned to me. It was brought to the attention of all the investigators.
Yes, sir. And what task did you take upon yourself to do that day?
We all started searching for the vehicle that was owned by Mrs. Patton.
Was that a 1998 Ford Escort, a white in color?
Yes, it was.
Why did you feel it was important to try and locate Miss Patton's vehicle?
It was discussed in the meeting by the supervisors that we needed to find the vehicle.
What did you do to start trying to locate Miss Patton's vehicle? How did you strategically start to search for it?
I left our meeting and I started on Ridgewood to our south city limits, the further city limits, and I began to just bolo from the south city limits to the north city limits, all the hotels and businesses on Ridgewood.
So I know what bolo means, sir, but could you maybe tell what that means to the folks on the jury, sir?
searching, looking for, be on the lookout for.
Right, be on the lookout, okay. So you were just basically doing a manual search of different locations, starting from the south end of the county, working your way north?
Correct. The south city limits, yes.
Did there come a time in that afternoon of the 25th where you located Ms. Patton's vehicle?
Yes.
Where did you locate her vehicle, sir?
It was at 530 North Ridgewood Avenue.
I'm going to show you what is marked as states Y, which is a composite. I'm just going to show you all four, and then I'll ask you if you recognize those in a second. Okay, sir?
Okay.
Can you see that okay? If you need to get closer, let me know.
That's better there. Okay. That's better. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you the second exhibit from it. Do you recognize this photo, sir? Dude?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you the third part of exhibit Y.
Yes.
Okay. I'll show you the fourth part of exhibit Y.
Yes.
Before we put those on the screen and we talk about them, can you tell us the aerial that we looked at, which was the first part of exhibit Y, was that a fair and accurate depiction of an overhead of the area, including the 530 North Ridgewood Avenue?
Yes.
Then exhibit Y2, is that a close-up location of where Miss Patton's car was located, a close aerial showing it?
Yes.
And then Y3, is that a photograph showing the parking lot you found it in, not the vehicle yet, but the parking lot, what the parking lot looks like?
Yes.
Okay, and then in Y4, is that the actual vehicle that you located that day, sir?
Yes.
Judge, at this time, the state would move in states Y, composite.
Any objection? You may review them, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
Without objection, will be admitted as 7 as a composite exhibit.
Case number 26.
Thank you, ma'am. Judge, may I publish the jury while we talk with the...
You're going to do it through the screen?
Yes, sir.
Very well.
Sir, I'm showing you, I'm just going to show you that you can see the map. See this map again?
Yes.
Okay, so that is states 26A. Can you, there's a little marking where it shows where Miss Patton's car was located. How far from the actual courthouse we're in today, the one right here, 251 Ridgewood, how far is where her car was located from the courthouse, if you can, sir?
That'll be 3 blocks to your north.
Okay, so if the courthouse is it would just be, I guess, there's on the map it says Basilica of St. Paul Catholic Church. Is it just a little south of there, sir? The courthouse?
It'll be north of that location.
The location where her car was located, but the courthouse is actually just a little south of the Basilica?
Correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
okay. And 26B, I'm going to show that to you, sir, at the same time as the jury. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Okay. And that's just a closer up aerial of the, this is the location. Is that road that's marked US 1, is that also Ridgewood?
Yes.
Okay. So if we were to head south on Ridgewood, that would take us to where the courthouse is where today.
Yes.
I'm going to show you what is 26C. Is this just the parking lot you had found it in, sir?
Yes, that's correct.
What kind of location was it? Do you remember?
I believe that was a business at that time, was at that location at 530. I don't recall the name of the business.
Okay, it was a business. Okay. I'm going to show you 26D. You see that, sir?
Yes,
Is that actually Ms. Patton's vehicle that you located?
yes.
How were you able to know what you're looking for? 98 Ford Escort. Did you also have a license plate number?
Yes, they provided a license plate number.
Was that H808XE?
Yes.
Upon finding Ms. Patton's vehicle, I assume you notified crime scene and had them come out and collect the vehicle?
I notified everyone that was just at the meeting, and they all responded.
Yes, sir. In reference to Ridgewood Avenue, since you've been here 35 years, is that area on Ridgewood, is that kind of known for prostitution in that area?
Yes.
May I have just a moment, Judge?
Yes, sir.
Lieutenant, I don't have any other questions. If you could just wait for Mr. Shea, please.
All right, Mr. Shea, you have two options. You can be at the podium, or you can be close to this microphone so he can hear you better.
Yes, sir. Preferably,
You gonna be at the podium?
I think right here would be terrific. Can you hear me okay? I guess, am I loud enough?
Yes.
Move the microphone towards you, though. There you go. Now you can go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Your Honor. Will you pull up, Counsel, the prior photograph of the parked automobile? Thank you. Is this the condition or actual location and place of that automobile as you found it?
I didn't understand the first part of your question, sir.
Oh, you can't see the picture from where you are.
Chair, here. Lean up.
Thank you. Can you see that photograph again of the automobile?
Okay.
And is that the actual location where the automobile was when you found it, or was it moved by officers?
No, that's the location it was found.
And does it appear from your observation as police work that it was hastily driven in there? It's not parked fully in the space?
I never made that determination.
Well, it is not. From your observation, is it fully parked in the space that you would normally pull a car into?
The best I could tell, sir.
It's hard to tell because you can't see the photograph?
No, I said the best I could tell is parked there. I didn't make no determination whether someone did it hastily or not.
Not using the term hastily, is that the normal occupation of a parking spot when you pull into it and walk away with it from your car?
Repeat the question, please. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I'm going to try this microphone here. Can you hear me better?
Yes, much better, much better.
Okay, thank you. Looking at that photograph that we had looked at earlier, is that the normal way that a car is parked in a parking spot?
I have seen cars parked like that before.
Now, is it correct to say that the vehicle was located in the Ridgewood area?
Yes,
And is that an area known for prostitution back in 2005 and 2006?
yes.
Were you involved in the Laquetta Gunther homicide as far as her location?
Yes,
Is that also an area known, is that close to the area that we're discussing here as far as the Ridgewood area?
yes,
Were you responsible for any of the evidence being submitted for evaluation in the Patton case?
no,
What was your primary duty? Only as a bolo on this automobile, is that correct?
my primary duty, I was the sergeant over the criminal investigation division, and I helped the detectives when they needed assistance with resources.
Other than the testimony that you're giving here today, you don't come to court with any other information relevant to the Patton case?
That's correct.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
May Lieutenant Wright be excused?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Lieutenant Wright.
Thank you.
All right, you have a short witness?
Just I'm gonna move one exhibit in, Judge. I think it's really, we'll publish it within 1 second.
Can you I don't know why, but the courtroom is not off.
And Judge, at this time, I think there is no objection. The state would move AA in.
I think it's about, there you go. All right, any objection?
None, Your Honor.
Without objection, it will be admitted.
Judge, may I publish states 27?
Yes, Bill, full step aside.
And this is just a live photo of Ms. Patton.
Okay?
Jason.
Judge, I do have a witness that'll take probably 5 or
Sure.
10 minutes, if that's okay. The state would call John Eckersen.
Come forward.
Raise your right hand and be sworn in, please.
I do.
This way.
Sure, to speak loud and clear and slowly so that viewers can hear what you have to say.
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury, spell your last name?
My name is John Eckersen, Eckersen. I'm an investigator with the State Attorney's Office.
You need to get closer to the microphone.
Yes, sir.
Can you give us a little background of your training experience as a law enforcement officer?
I started with the Volusia County Sheriff's Office in 1994. From there, I spent several years in sex crimes investigations, was hired on with the State Attorney's Office in 2005, and spent the majority of that time working in our homicide unit.
So the State Attorney's Office has a homicide division that you're one of the investigators that assists?
Yes, sir.
Are Are you a primary investigator in homicide scenes, or do you just provide assistance?
Typically, no, we provide assistance to the agency.
Bring your attention to December 2005. Were you aware of the homicide of Ms. Gunther?
Yes, sir, I was.
Did you actually go out to that scene?
Yes, sir, I did.
And let's fast forward, I believe, to January when Ms. Green's body was discovered, January 14th. Were you out of the office during that window of time?
I was out of the country at that time, sir.
Yes, sir. So let's fast forward to February 24th when Ms. Patton was located. Were you working that day, sir?
Yes, sir, I was in the office and we received a call that a body had been found. And I responded out to the area of where the new Daytona Beach Police Department is currently at.
Did you go out to the, actually walk out to the scene and see Ms. Patton's body there?
I walked out to the scene and saw a nude African-American female wearing socks, slumped over. I didn't investigate much further because crime scene was not out there yet.
Was there a task assigned to you or that you were asked to complete in reference to Ms. Patton's body?
Yes, sir. After the medical examiner's office got there and loaded the body up, I responded along with them to the medical examiner's office for the autopsy.
What was your purpose of going to the medical examiner's office?
To view the autopsy and to view them collecting the evidence.
Is it common for investigators, either the lead homicide investigators or a detective or yourself, to attend the autopsies?
Yes, sir, it is.
When did the autopsy of Miss Patton occur?
Late afternoon?
So on February 24th, she's found, then that afternoon, late afternoon, early evening?
Yes, sir.
Were you present for the entire autopsy?
Yes, sir, I was.
I'm going to approach and show you what's already in evidence of states 23. May I approach, Judge?
You may.
If you could take a moment and look at this, and just after you have, just look up, sir. Do you recognize that exhibit?
Yes, sir, I do.
Were you, what is that an exhibit of, sir?
That would be the swabs taken during the autopsy, along with the shell casing, packaged up by the medical examiner's office with Daytona's face sheet on top of it.
And we'll stick with the sexual assault kit. Were
Yes,
you
sir.
present when the sexual assault kit was actually collected?
Yes, sir, I was.
How do they collect a sexual assault kit, if we could just explain it for the jury?
Usually, they'll use a long cotton-tipped applicator, basically a long Q-tip. They'll swab the mouth, they'll swab the vagina, and they'll swab the anus. If applicable, they'll also do pubic hair combing to see if there's any odd pubic hairs or pubic hairs that don't match. They'll also do fingernail scrapings.
When you were there for the sexual assault kit, you observed the medical personnel from the medical examiner's office do that?
Yes, sir.
Did you observe them package it up and place it into that package?
Yes, sir, I did.
Were you present with that item until Tom Youngman picked it up from the Daytona Beach Police Department?
Yes, sir, I was.
Do you know about what time he came to pick it up?
Later, it was dark, so I'm going to assume around 7-ish.
May I just have a moment, Judge?
Yes.
Can I just grab that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And I know you mentioned the shell casing, but in this exhibit, it was just the sexual assault kit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No further questions, Judge. Thank you, sir.
Any cross-examination?
Just briefly, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Your testimony today primarily has to do with chain of custody, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You didn't observe the the test being performed or how it went about collecting the evidence?
No, sir, I was there for the entirety of the autopsy in the viewing area.
And, I'm sorry. And who performed the actual testing with the swab?
The medical examiner.
Did you observe in detail exactly what the medical examiner was doing when he was performing the swabs, particularly in the mouth of Ms. Gunther?
No, sir, I was probably from me to you with a viewing window in between, so I can't say in detail exactly what he was doing.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
Just real briefly, Judge, I know Mr. Shea just asked you about Ms. Gunther. We're here talking about Ms. Patton, though, correct?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Yes, Miss
Okay.
Patton.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I will rephrase the question. It was in reference to Ms. Patton and not Ms. Gunther.
All right, sir, thank you.
All right, anything else?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. May step down.
Thank you, sir.
Folks, this will be a good time to take our mid-morning recess. We're going to take a 15-minute break. Caleb will walk you back out there, but if you want to go out to the front and have a smoke break, I know we have some smokers among you. 15 minutes.
So they have to go out the front?
Or if they want to stay in the ear room, they can.
Yeah, you leave it. I'll go.
That's fine, I should
Yeah, it's too much.
Let me just move this out of the way. Sorry, Bill.
You good.
I will be in recess for 15 minutes. Be back here by 10:35 or so.
We need a phone number for the doctor to call.
I'll show you,
Yeah, I'll get it.
Did you do it on Google?